So after more than a year of waiting, it's actually been 1 year and 3 months, the land borders here in Georgia finally opened. So we are going to do a visa run to Armenia in a couple days. So I want to show you kind of all the steps that we have to go through to do this. Georgia is an amazing country for a lot of different reasons, but one of them that I love is that as an American, we can stay here for 1 year. Our visa is good for 1 year, which is awesome. You know, in Thailand, if you just get the tourist visa, you have to leave. Well, if you can extend it once, you have to leave basically every month or every 2 months. Whereas here, you can stay a whole year. So we got here in March of 2020. So technically our visa expired March of 2021, but with COVID and everything, land borders and sea borders weren't open. You could fly in, but you had to fly in from the US, and we were not about to fly to the US just to come back in. So we overstayed our visa. They have been pretty lax. Understanding about it. Technically, they exempted people if you were here March 14th. If you're here legally on March 14th, they're allowing you to stay until July 1st of 2021. So like a 3-month overstay. We kind of got a little screwed while we landed on March 14th. It was late at night. So by the time we went through immigration, it was right past midnight, so they stamped us for March 15th. So I'm really not sure if they will charge us an overstay or not for that. If they do, it's no big deal. It is, so if you overstay for 90 days or less, you are charged 120 gel. So that's like $40, which is super cheap. So when we do, I do cross the border. And another thing, different than other countries, different than Vietnam, different than Bali, is here, if you overstay, you don't pay that fine until you come back to the country, which is awesome. So the land and sea borders opened yesterday, June 1st, 2021. So we are going to take, originally we were going to leave on Thursday, tomorrow, but I wanted to wait and hear some like success stories of people crossing back over the border by land. With some things, it takes the border agents a little longer to get the most updated policies here than if you were to fly in, right? The passport control in the airport seems to get the information, the policies quicker. So at about, 7 o'clock or so last night, they came out with an article that explained, hey, yes, these borders are open, and here are, all the regulations, policies, restrictions, etc. on it. So that was put out by the media, which is also backed by the government. The website I use is agenda.ge. But then also in the expat Facebook groups, there were people talking about how they, everyone, right, was like waiting, like, okay, whoever goes first, like, let me know if it was a success. So luckily there are some people who did cross in the evening last night successfully. So with that, we're going to take today, Wednesday, and tomorrow, Thursday, to get everything that we need lined up, and then we will do the land border crossing on Friday. So I will take you along with me, show you everything that I can film, usually right on border controls, passport areas. You can't really film that much, so I'll at least give you a rundown of it when I get through. But I will show you everything that I can up until that point. Okay, so we are here at NeoLab to get our PCR test done.
There we go. Hi.
Hi.
Based on what I've seen on the news, it's fine. It's just it's mild. It's like the flu. I think they had concalis for breakfast, for lunch. I guess I'm only shooting. Stick it in? Yeah. Oh, get it in there.
Ooh. Is that it? Oh, mouse. Mouse. Oh, sorry. Sorry. My bad. Ooh, that gets up in there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
They want to tell you about that.
your turn. Oh, get up in there. Yeah. I wasn't sure what to expect, but that was the quickest. How long do you think that took? 2 minutes?
Yeah, 2.5.
Literally. So we went to NeoLab for a couple reasons. One, they had good reviews. Two, they met all of the requirements on the results that Armenia requires, like English, on the printed letterhead, signed and sealed by the head or of the medical director. And then three, they're only 85 gel, which is one of the cheaper ones. So we'll have the results back in 24 hours. We did have to make an appointment, but that was so quick. Like, I'm not kidding you. We walked in, gave them our passports, they swabbed us, and we walked out. Like, you can see, we filmed in there, as you obviously just saw, and we didn't film maybe 1 minute in there. Like, that was quick. We have our test results back. I'm so happy. So we got our test taken yesterday at 3, and today by 11 they were emailed to us. We're obviously both negative, so it means we can go to Armenia. The clinic did have them printed on site already for us, so I just went there this afternoon to pick them up. I've been told that the border agents that give people a harder time, they do that to the ones that like aren't prepared with all the documentation, or like they can't find it on their phone. So I actually just decided to go with the printed results, just so it's quick, it's easy. We can just hand the certificate right into them. So, and again, this is one of the reasons why I went to NeoLab, is for this part right there, signed and sealed by the medical director. That was one of their Armenia's requirements. So we're going to Armenia tomorrow. So we've already booked our private driver from Tbilisi to the border on the Georgian side, obviously. We have our first 2 nights of accommodation booked in the capital of Armenia, which is where we're staying. Next thing you'll see is it'll probably be tomorrow morning when we get picked up by our private driver. It's costing us $29 to go from Tbilisi to the border, which is like an hour and a half away-ish. That's for an English-speaking driver. If you don't need an English-speaking driver, if Russian or just Georgian is good for you, then it's only $25. And we booked our private drivers through gotrip.ge. We've used them for all of our travels throughout Georgia for the last year and have had good experiences with them. So definitely recommend them. Private driver time. This is how we'll get from Tbilisi to the border. We just walked and got stamped out of Georgia. Took, I don't know, 30 seconds. All they asked is if we had our COVID test to get into Armenia, and that was it. So now we're walking, I don't know, it's probably 400 meters to get our Armenia stamp. Made it into Armenia. It was like, I don't know, 2 minutes through passport control. Found a taxi right at the border, and now we're gonna go. A quick recap. So to get into Armenia, very simple. You just need a PCR test within 72 hours of your crossing the land or the air border, however you get in. As you saw in my video, there are some little requirements that Armenia requires. Can you require requirements? Anyways, I'll put those in the exact wording in the description below so that you are aware of what needs to happen. Fun fact about Armenia that I feel like is kind of under the radar for a lot of US citizens is we get a 6-month visa to Armenia, free and on arrival, which is awesome. We are waiting to get our PCR test done. We're at EcoSense. Today we did a walk-in, so we just got here. Our number is E104, so it looks like we're next in line. Reach up here.
Oh,
okay, you're sure?
Okay. Oh my goodness, for the blog.
Yeah. So we got our negative results back. So we took the test at 3 yesterday, and they were ready by 9 this morning. So it was already, when we got there, we turned in our receipt of, proof that we took it yesterday, and then they found it in their system, printed it out, stamped, signed, and we were ready to go. So today's time took, I don't know, like 5 minutes maybe. Okay, now that we have our PCR test results back here in Yerevan, we're both negative. Woo-hoo. Next step is to fill out and we'll register with the Georgian government. So you go to registration.gov.ge to fill this out. We just got stamped out of Armenia. There's a little confusion at the border. Make sure you are registered with the government and you have it either printed out or saved on your phone. There's a big group in front of us that didn't have that, so it took a little bit longer than it should have, but start to finish was probably 10 minutes. So now we are walking back to the Georgia side. We just got through the Georgian side, no line whatsoever. Technically, we did overstay by one. We missed the visa exemption for the overstays by 1 day, but they didn't charge us for the overstay. So we're back in Georgia. And then we just hired a private driver through gotrip.ge to take us back to Tbilisi. So as you can see, we are clearly back in Georgia. So our visa run was a success. So a quick recap on what it takes to get into Georgia. You need to have a PCR test done 72 hours before arrival. You need to register with the government, and you need to take a PCR test 72 hours after you arrive here if you are unvaccinated. It's worded weird, but you actually do not need to show proof of health insurance. They're just saying that if you get COVID while you're here, you have to pay for the treatment, anything involved in that. And why they say that is because before now, anybody who was here in Georgia that got COVID, whether you were a foreigner, a citizen, whether you had a residency, whether you didn't have residency or citizenship, anybody that was here, they were paying for all COVID related treatment. I thought we had to have proof of health insurance that covered COVID before we got here. So I went through the process of calling our insurance, printing it out, etc. But you do not need that. So again, we couldn't exactly film too much on the Armenia side of things. When we went to go get our PCR test done there, the nurse was not comfortable with us filming, so we couldn't show that. We obviously couldn't show anything when you're actually in passport control. Again, though, it was very quick, very easy. When you do, when they do stamp you back into Georgia, they give you this lovely little info card that basically says, you know, you need to get your test done 72 hours after you arrive here. And then, you know, numbers to call if you have any issues. So another thing we did not film was our second time of, so the 72 hours after we arrived here, we get another COVID test done. Anthony forgot to press the little record button when we were getting swabbed, so we don't have footage of that. But it was basically the same thing as last time. We went back to NeoLab because we had a great experience with them. It was 85 gel. We walked in, walked out, literally took no more than 5 minutes when we were in there. Now the lab, no matter where you go in Georgia for your test 72 hours after you arrive, because we are not vaccinated, the clinic will upload it into the government system, right? So you don't have to, once you get the results back, you don't have to do anything with it. We have been told to keep the results because some people, when they're leaving again, have been asked proof of, did you take that test 72 hours after you arrived into our country? So we've just saved it in our emails in case they do ask for it whenever we leave. Who knows when that will be? They did have someone call us. Let's see, it was probably about 48 hours after we had arrived back into Georgia, that we got a phone call from someone in the health Ministry of Health or Health Department, whatever they call it here, that basically just said, hey, just to remind you, you know, within the next 24 hours, you need to get your test done. So that was a nice little reminder. Again, so we were confused if it was, you know, does the first day count as day one, right? When you get stamped, does that count as day one? Or, because all the wording on here says you get tested on your third day. And so there was confusion is, you know, the day we got stamped, does that count as day one? Or does the first day start, you know, does the first day after you arrive? I don't know how to say that. If I arrived on a Saturday, does it start on a Saturday, or does it the day one start on Sunday? So the better wording they should use, and what is that they're going by, actually is basically like right at 72 hours, you need to get that test done. As always, like the video. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about entering Armenia or entering Georgia. Subscribe for more unique travel adventures. Hit the little bell, that notification, so you are the first to know of any videos I release. And the next one will be right here in 3, 2, 1.